Hey guys, welcome back to Easel Does It Studio. Hi. So, as you can see, I have tape around. So what I did is I just painted this canvas with a coat of white gesso. So that way the sides are going to be painted. I'm going to paint my painting in here, and then we're going to peel this off and see if we get, you know, how they have like those matte borders like around the frames, and see how it looks. So I'm going to do kind of like an ocean kind of theme with maybe some sunset colors, and I think we're going to put some hydrangeas in. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this one. So I'm going to put you down here. So this is completely dry. I've done nothing yet. I'm just going to get some colors on my palette. I'm going to use yellow, alizarin crimson, some a little bit of the cadmium red deep hue to kind of get us a like orangey kind of color. And I don't think we're gonna need a lot of that. I'm gonna have to get another one. And then I also pulled out, I've never used this. This is the unbleached titanium. So I'm thinking maybe instead of like a white, we can try some of the unbleached titanium. I don't know. I'm thinking for my sand is what I, kind of what I was thinking, right, like right in here. So we'll just play with it a little bit. And I'm going to put some primary blue. And that way we can make like a purple for the sky. We'll mix that with the alizarin crimson. And we'll see what we get for color. Let me see here. So I'm just going to pull out a couple of mop brushes. And what I'm going to do is the yellow, I am going to put some white on here because I know I'm going to need that to blend my sky colors. So these are the regular acrylics. So these are not the long drying time ones. So I am gonna use some of this retarder, and this is just an acrylic extender. So I'm gonna use this in my sky colors because I want to be able to blend them seamlessly. So I'm just going to let me get a paper towel here. And I do have this little palette knife just to mix up some of the color. So I'm just gonna take like half of my yellow, oh, and I just stuck my finger in the white. Gosh, I cannot stay clean for 2 minutes, guys. So I'm going to put kind of like equal parts of the retarder in with my colors. So that way my sky colors will already be mixed with the extender. And I'll show you here just a second. So I'm just kind of scooping that up. Just trying to get it all scooped into a pile here. All right. So this is the one that I mixed up with the alizarin, the retarder. So I'm going to do the same thing with the alizarin crimson. I'm going to take a scoop, kind of like that, and then I'm going to put like equal amounts and then we're gonna blend this together. And then I'll just kind of scoop up what I can. And then once I use it, then I can just wipe this off my palette here. So we've got the yellow and the alizarin crimson. I am going to mix up a little bit of the white the same way, not as much. I do just want to have enough to be able to lighten those colors. All right. And I'm going to pick up my blending brush. And I just dampened it a little bit. And I think I'm going to want the watercolor very similar. So let's just start with some of the yellow. Let's get some of the yellow in. So I know that I can paint right over this tape because I want that to be a nice finished line. Now I'm going to pick up some of that white and we're going to kind of tame that down. That's a bit bright. So I just want that to be a soft, kind of pale yellow. So what we're in essence doing is we are mixing our colors on the canvas now. All right. I'm going to rinse that off. And then we're going to pick up the alizarin crimson. And we're going to kind of start blending that right over some of that yellow. And this is why I wanted that yellow to stay wet so that we could get this to blend in. And I'm going to take some red and some of that yellow, and we're going to kind of make this a little bit more orangey. I'm just going to wipe the excess off my brush now and pick up a little bit more yellow and white, and we're going to blend into those other colors. See, when you can streak it so that it gives you just that little bit of movement in your sky. And I want a little bit more yellow in through here. Pick up some white. All right, now this yellow is not giving me the color that I wanted. Let me just pick up some of the plain yellow and plain white. And that way it's a little bit more, there we go. That's better. I don't mind having a little bit of that darkness in there, but I did want, you know, I wanted it to be a little bit brighter. And then we'll cut this off. I'm gonna use some blue and alizarin crimson. And I'm gonna just wipe a spot here on my palette so I can mix like a purpley color. And we're just gonna boy, I'm not doing good at mixing my colors today, guys. Just saying. But you just go with it. And actually, I do have some dioxazine purple, so I'm just going to put a little bit of that on my palette. And we're going to, there we go. Because I wanted it to be like a lavender, but I do want my corners to be a little bit darker. I'm going to take a little bit of that extender, and we're going to mix that in there. There we go. And when you get those different variations, leave them, because it's gonna give you that interest in your sky. It's almost gonna look like clouds or something going through there. Just so we have a little bit. I'll just pick up some white, and we'll just blend some of the white through. And I'm just gonna wet my brush just a bit, and it's trying to blend some of this. Wash this brush. Squeeze that a little bit. And actually, let me take some of, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into some red. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Much, much better. And I'm going to just pick up some yellow with this orange color in my brush. And we'll just kind of blend that through. So I can already see that it's starting to firm up from that extender, because that extender does not last as long as the Golden Open. So you do have to work a little bit more for that. All right, so I'm kind of liking that. Let's wash this brush. Take a clean paper towel here. Let's see. Let's pick up some white, and we're just gonna start kind of blending from the bottom up. Trying to get a little bit more of lightness going here. Now this corner I'm not too worried about because that's where our hydrangeas are going to be. Now I have done a few hydrangea paintings, and I really like doing hydrangeas. Not everybody does. This is the unbleached titanium. So I'm gonna start bringing that down through this bottom. Now on this side, I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, so I do want to have, you know, something on the ground over here. I am going to pick up some hang on, I gotta wipe a spot here on my, I'm using my smaller palette, and I don't have as much room to be blending colors, so I'm just gonna pick up some of the burnt umber now, and we're gonna run it through that unbleached titanium, and hopefully we're gonna get like a wet sand color. So I got both of them on my brush at the same time here. And I am going to, you know, just fill this part in, even though I know that I'm putting something else over it. All right, I'm just gonna, so this is the hardest part to me with acrylics, is getting your colors to blend. This is the hardest part that I struggle with when I do acrylics. I'm just gonna gently and then I'll bring some of that yellow down here in a minute. Onto this, you know, the beachy sand or whatever. Because I'm gonna cut this all right, I'm just going to, let me switch brushes here. Let me try this filbert brush. And we're just gonna, I've got some yellow that's got a little bit of red in it and some white. And we're gonna bring this just kind of bring that down. And then we'll take some of that orangey color. Oh. Red, yellow. And we can also pick up a little bit of that purple too, and just kind of just give a hint of that in that sand, just a little bit there. All right, so I'm liking the looks of that. All right, so let me wipe this off. And I'm going to, all right, so this is about half of my canvas. So I'm gonna go right up about in here. Because we've got to have a break somewhere for a horizon line. Let me take this angled brush and of course I didn't take black out. Why did I not take black out? I always have to use some black. We'll do some lamp black. And I'll just put a little bit there. So I'm just getting it on the end of my brush. So this is about halfway. So let's go just above. And because we have that yellow, we're automatically going to get like a little bit of a green. Okay. I'm just with my wet brush, I'm just gonna scoot across this bottom here a little bit. Just giving it like a little bit of, and this is just like literally what is extra on the brush, just giving that little bit of darkness way back there. All right, I'm gonna take a small filbert brush and I'm just going to make some little something in the distance. You know, it could be distant trees, islands, who knows? And I don't want everything to be the same shape or height or even color, because, you know, hard telling what it is out there. It could just be like little islands here and there. And then I'm just gonna pull the bottom to kind of give like a little bit of a landmass. But it's so far back that we really are not gonna see much detail at all. All right, so now we are going to get some of our dioxazine purple, and I am going to mix a little bit of brown to darken up some of this purple, because I want a really dark, actually a little bit of black in there. I want this first layer to be a really dark purple. Let me see here. Yeah, okay, that'll work. All right, so I am gonna come up right about here. And I'm just going to just get like outside shapes. You don't want anything, you definitely want this inside to be the darkest. All right. So I'm just getting it so that the edges are a different shape, and then we're just going to kind of fill this all in. And this is going to be what our like the base of our hydrangeas, our background color. All right. So I'm going to use the same brush now. And I'm going to pick up just the purple. And I'm just going to start giving, actually, let me dry this a little bit because it's picking up my underneath color. Doesn't have to be fully dry, but I definitely want it drier than what it was. All right. So I'm just getting my outside petals, basically. And then we're just going to pop some of this purple in through the rest of this. So that way we will have really dark, medium, and we're going to add white, which is going to give us our petal colors. So you want to pop some purple in, but leave some of the dark. And then we'll put some leaves and stuff after. All right, so I'm just going to pick up white. And I'm going to wipe some of that purple off here a little bit. All right. So I'm going to pick like a few areas that are going to be more of the pronounced like petals. And you can go over them. It doesn't matter. It actually will look better if you do. And then I'm just going to start, as that white wears off a little bit, so while I've got some bright, I'm going to get some like more focal ones. And then I'm going to just start and it's been a while since I've done this, and I've already screwed up. But we will try to fix it here. So I'm going to pick up some more of that darker purple and black. And we definitely want our shape I forgot to keep them separate is what I did. All right, you know what I'm going to do? There we go. We're going to start over here. So, like I said, guys, don't be afraid to try things. I do want a few darker areas in here. Okay. So now I'm going to get just the shape of each flower. And I mean, these are fairly big flowers, so, you know, I could have had it so it was only 2 flowers, but I was thinking more 3. So I'm just going to mix some of the purple and white together, and we'll kind of get like that lavendery color. And then we will, I mean, I could have separated them with leaves too, but I just wanted to show you guys that don't be afraid to try, you know, different things. And if you screw up, then you saw what I did to fix it. I just colored over it and started again. I'm just gonna and then once these dry a little bit, I'll go back over and we'll get some more defined top ones in. All right, so it kind of looks like 2, and let's get And I'm just basically tapping the canvas. And then we'll put another one right here. All right. So while we let that dry for a little bit, let's go back in with our 2 sand colors and let's get our path going here. We'll have a little and even if I go over my flowers a little bit, it's fine because we're going to do one more layer on there after. All right, we're just going to bring the sand all the way to this corner over here, just because I don't know what I'm putting over here yet. So let's just get some sand color in there. So I'm really liking this unbleached titanium color. It is definitely way better than using a white, you know, like a stark white. All right, and I do want I want there to be that variation, the lights and the darks. So on this side, maybe I'll put some tall grass or something. Because I didn't quite finish my water over here. Didn't quite finish over here either, so I'm just using a wet brush and trying to get that to blend a little bit better. Let's just take a little bit of the yellow. A little bit more yellow in that titanium. There we go. So, and then I'll put some little water line down in here. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of the dark brown and let's make kind of like a mound. So there's maybe like a little sand dune or something right there. And this corner would definitely be darker because that little sand dune would be shadowing it. So I'm just adding a little bit more of the dark brown. But trying to leave that little bit of variation. All right, let's wash this. All right, so that is somewhat dry. Now we're gonna get some green. I wanna get a few leaves on here. I'm gonna do green, and I'm gonna make a green with the yellow and the blue and the yellow and the black, because that will give us two different greens. And do I have a small angled brush? I cannot wait to get my new brushes, guys. All right, here's a small one. So I'm just gonna pick up some green, the dark green, and let's see. I mean, we don't need a ton of them, but we do need a few. And just put a little bit in there. Just different colors. Let me see here. And then we'll highlight some of these. Let's see. Gonna take some black and some yellow, and we'll mix up a different green. Just so there's something in throughout the painting other than the purple and all right, I'm just gonna go a little bit lighter. And now I'm just gonna Just kind of highlight some of these. All right, so got a little bit of greenery in there. So now we're gonna go back with, let's make up a really light purple here. And then I'm just making almost like little commas, but you also want to go over some of the greenery. Like we have a few that are right in the brightness, so, and then we can and I am not doing a good job on these hydrangeas, guys. I'm just telling you. I screwed up at the beginning, and it doomed me in from the get-go. But that's all right. We're gonna work with it. Okay. And I don't even remember if they have yellow centers or white centers. Well, ours are going to have yellow centers. So I'm just going to pick a few. Just a few that, you know, will kind of give you that illusion that these are some sort of flowers. Okay. Now, let's see. We are going to, let's see, if I put in, I'm just trying to get, so this one would have to, let's see, here, here, here. All right, I think that's what we're gonna do. We are gonna put in a little bit of a fence. All right, let me see. I'm gonna use a flat brush. All right, so this is where we could ruin it, guys. So this one is going right here. So I'm just gonna go in with a thin layer to start with. So these are gonna be wider and bigger because they're close. And it's fence post at the beach, guys, so they don't need to be perfect. The next one's going to be a little bit lower. And the next one's going to be even lower. And then the next one's going to be lower and a little bit closer, because they're gonna look closer together as they get oh, it's all right. Okay, so that'll work. And then we're going to put something. And then we can, then we'll darken and lighten. So I'm going to take some black in with the brown, and I'm going to put it on the back side of these. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that unbleached titanium for my highlight side. That way it's not pure white. And I'm just going to use a liner brush. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use another liner brush, and we're going to do the bottoms of our little thingies here. Because definitely underneath these, you know, whether it's another piece of wood or a wire, it is definitely going to be darker. Okay. Now we'll go in and lighten. Sorry about the squeaky floors, guys. And then we're gonna put some more of these flower petals and leaves coming through the fence. So we're gonna do that here in just a minute. And then we'll just put a little bit of highlight on the tops. Okay. Now we've got to make a little bit of a darker color. I'm trying to think which way would there be a shadow? That's the thing. Yeah, I'm just gonna make like a little yeah, that looks about right. Like the sun would be coming through that way. Let's go back and we're gonna put a few petals coming through. Okay. I'm gonna add just a little bit of okay. Pop a little bit of yellow. Okay. Now we'll go back to our greens, and I'm gonna go more green and yellow this time. And Put a few dark ones in. You know, because back here, I'm assuming these ones would be a little bit darker. Okay. Yeah, let's see. I wanted to get like, so it looks like it's, you know, somewhat of a path, and then I'll put the shadows back in. All right. So let's mix up that dark. Kind of had them going the wrong way here, so I'm just gonna scrub that in. All right, we'll try it again, guys. There we go. Okay. Now we could put one more fence post right here, but I think I'm going to. Yeah. Yep, it definitely needed it. And this one wouldn't be as bright because it's more in the shadow. And then we'll just put a few we'll just bring in a few more little thingies over that after. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So let's do our greenery. So let's see. Let's see. It's just a bunch of grass growing up in there. And let's see. You just want a few little things over your fence. It just kind of sets it in the back. Doesn't have to be a lot, but it does have to be some. All right, so before I go too far, I've got to get some sort of like a water line going in here. So I'm going to take my filbert brush and I'm going to wet it with my dirty water. We're going to take some white and I'm going to make that very, very thin. Like, see how it looks like it's like dripping? You want it very thin. And I'm just scumbling that. I'm just like scumbling that over. And then I can take just some white. And that way you get your, you know, your little bit of a shape without it being way too, you know, too bright in your face. So then it just kind of, you know, and then you can just kind of pull some of that down. That way it just looks like there's a little something coming up. We can put a little bit of more highlight on it after. So I'm going to take my big brush and let's see, we'll take some of the dark green and I'm going to start here, lightly push and bend. And then And then I'll just kind of go over with some light color, some light green. And I'm just kind of playing, getting some different different shapes in. Way too much black. There we go. Just pick up some green, some yellow. You want your grass to be going different directions. Light ones, dark ones, medium ones. All right, let's see. And we can have maybe. Let's see, take a dark. All right, so I think we are going to call this one done, guys. Now to unveil. Oh, a little bit bled through. But we can fix that, no problem. Oh, I like it. All right, so let me put this over here for a minute. All right, so I just got to let that dry. A little bit more. Let me take a clean paper towel here. I'm going to try a little bit of alcohol. I don't know if it's going to work, but all right, let me dry that so we can paint over it. Okay, I want to get a little narrower. All right. So that is better. What do you think, guys? I like it. Okay, I am going to be doing some more like this. I really, really like it. And then you could do whatever color border you wanted. So I'm going to put a signature on this one, and we are going to call this one done. Let me see. Which color am I going to use? Let's just use a dark purple. There we go, guys. So let me know in the comments what you think about the painting, but what you think about the way I did it for a border. And I will see you guys all on the next one, guys. I really like it. Alrighty, bye, guys.